So here we are in the aftermath of our first ever playoff appearance, a better than expected drafts. We are at the beginning of a new season, the 2029-2030 season. And will the 2030s be the decade? Will it represent the decade of the Growlers? I hope so. Time will tell, though, ultimately. Now, a couple of things in the aftermath of the past couple of days. Now, I want to mention with the comment section, a lot of support for Cole Huckins to remain captain. So Huckins, LaRue, and Hugo will be the leadership group of this team, basically for the duration of this series. And speaking of this series, obviously now, I'm going to have a video coming out alongside of it, essentially. But you look at the patch and the state of franchise mode after the patch. For the most part, we're in a pretty good spot. So a lot of people are asking, oh, what's your next series going to be? And pretty straightforward. I'm not jumping to conclusions on what it's going to be. I'm not going to rush out a second franchise mode series alongside of this one. Obviously, we have this one and the one currently ongoing on Patreon. But I have a shitload of roster editing to do because, as you probably know, if you've looked at EA's rosters, even on the December 2nd update, brutal. I'm sorry, but there are so many overalls and potentials that I just find dumbfounding, and it's not to personally insult. I know the guy's name. I've never met him, but it's not to personally insult really any of the guys behind the decision-making process, but it's in such a bad spot. So I'm going to keep going through, do those edits. Of course, the editing doc link is in the description, how I wish there was roster sharing. But yeah, for now, we're going to hopefully get back to a point where I can upload daily with the Growlers. The biggest issue right now I'm having is with YouTube. Because of COVID, the approval process isn't the same. And it takes a little bit longer. And sometimes I've had to wait hours, whatever it is, because people will be like, oh, money. But I've had to wait hours for videos to get monetized. Sometimes it's at the point where if I try to upload something at 6 p.m., it doesn't get approved until midnight. And I'm obviously not going to upload a video at midnight. So, excuse me. So right now, the Growlers are my main focus. Hopefully we'll get to daily uploads, if not every other day, and we'll see what happens. And of course, other videos as well. Count this as a channel update, I guess. But other videos as well. The Cold War series going nowhere. That's just not an every week thing because it's only 10 episodes. There's still a lot of stuff I want to do with this channel. And I thank you, of course, for watching this video, for clicking on this. Let's get down to business. Let's take a look at the lines for this season. We start off with that +5 that we discovered at the end of last season. It is going to be Guy Boucher next to Zach LaRue, who is now 26 years old, and Donovan Marquardt. I'm going with Marquardt, as in Nate the Great Marquardt, MMA fighter. But yeah, Donovan is the dude. I mean, this is a make or break season for him. We need to see some statistical development here. I mean, he's a sniper, but look at how bad that shot is. He's clearly a two-way. Clearly. Look at this attribute spread. It is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. He has no acceleration or agility, but he's fast as hell. Truly bizarre player. We need to see some development out of him this season. Second line, we have Jacques Lapierre, now 24 years old, so don't expect him to get much better. With Cole Huckins, also 26, and Jayden Hines, who alongside Marquardt we needed some development from, and Hannon has been pretty solid. You would think with him as a sniper, he'd work well next to LaRue. Probably wouldn't be wrong, but we are going to try to pair him with Huckins to see what happens. One last attempt for Marquardt to develop. If we don't see him get close to an 80 by the time he's 23, Hannon goes to the top line next year. Third line, we see former 5th overall pick, Wes Corazzini, crack the lineup. He'll be alongside Justin Gill and Jordan DeMay, and a fourth line of Jean Savard with Pascal Duchesne and Johan Loshing. So the bottom 6 is pretty damn solid, all things considered, from where we started at least. Defensively, Philippe Sauve will be alongside now 90 overall Hugo Laflemme. Second pairing sees Sean Bates. So many S's and SH's and Sean Bates, as he'll forever be known as, has made the team. He's alongside Simon Belmar. I almost said Simon Belmont. And the third pair is Oscar Plandowski, next to Charlie DeRoche. So yeah, we still need some defensive improvements here. The goaltenders, of course, Elliot Cousineau and Nicky Roux. It's Nick Ruscia. And that'll probably be the tandem for years to come. So there you go. That's the team. Down in the AHL, I mean, someone like Robida didn't exactly crack the lineup this year. We have some dudes with potentials and overalls. I mean, Rayom, we'll see what we get. A low elite there in Tim Orr. So kind of hoping for the best. We do have Marcel Bouchard, who if he could go up in potential, that would be great. Deschamps, still medium 4, so promising for him. And Pierre Leroy, if he could continue to improve, we could be looking pretty good. Goaltender, Sylvain Guite, the biggest threat to one Nicky Roux as the starter. So the team is looking good. The big question right now, the upcoming drafts. Joaquin Funk at the top of it. Of course, Khalil Rome. There are only 3 guys projected to go in the first round. And none of them are available to us. Cyrus Cogliano is the top option. I'm not even going to bother paying attention to the draft. You know why? The big question is whether or not we're going to be making the playoffs for the second year in a row. To be honest, we're really going to want that to happen, all things considered, because yet again, it's not looking like the most promising draft with guaranteed results. So we'll see how this season goes. As always, I want to start off by looking at the overall ratings here. So we have a 76, a 75, and a 71. And we'll get a look at what Buffalo is, 90, 88, and an 89. To note as well, and I'll mention this in an update video that's going out today, you can still get the reverse retros, even if you have a custom roster going. You just got to make sure, of course, if you didn't know the reverse retros are in, well, hey, what a surprise for you. But of course, make sure to have EA's most recent roster update installed. Again, if you have a custom roster, you don't have to lose it. Just start a franchise mode with that custom roster and go back to the main menu and make the most recent EA update your active roster. And those will be there. Kind of a pain in the ass, but at least that way you do not lose a butt ton of editing, because Lord knows these rosters need that amount of editing, as we have talked about. So a 4-4 through the opening month. Nothing too crazy there, but obviously not all that bad. We were the 8th team last year, and we will hope, we will pray that we make the playoffs here again. Why not? I think it really is the attitude of let's make the playoffs and just see what happens from there. And you know what? Let's go for it here. Let's start to sim towards April, and we'll slow it down if we have to. But just make the playoffs, see what happens from there, and hope for the best. You never really know with this sim engine how things are going to play out. But I mean, right now, obviously, we're hanging in at around 500 on the season. A little bit outside the playoff structure right now, but one decent little winning streak, like we saw there, 3 wins in a row, can push us right back towards contention. But to be honest, the division is looking strong this year. 48 points. It takes 56 to replace the Leafs. I don't know if we're going to see another miracle playoff run here, and maybe it's because we had expectations this year. Last year, it's going to be horrible. The draft's horrible. God, we got nothing to look forward to, and the team surprised a few people. This year, I don't see that happening. So, of course, we'll get past trade deadline day. Of course, I wanted deadline day to actually be a big feature to a franchise mode series to start the year. But obviously it reached the point where it's like, oh, hey, I can't do that. But right now we take a look at the playoff situation. We are midway through March, 70 games in, 7 points out of a playoff spot. Actually 6 if you factor in the second wildcard spot that the Rangers have. Not much wiggle room. Hugo Laflamme is leading this team in points. And we're going to have to win the vast majority of our games. As Ottawa, we get a 4-1 win. We get a 5-2 win over the Panthers. Decent. Zach LaRue now leading this team in points. An unbelievable setup, man. So we get a pity point there against San Jose. We do beat New Jersey. The Growlers are surging right now. We are currently 4 points out of a playoff spot with a game at hand on Boston. This is possible if we keep up this kind of momentum as we beat the Islanders as well. Nearly back over 500. Let's see, just 2 points back of the Bruins here. Anaheim. It's a win. We've won 7 out of 10. Unbelievable. And as it stands, the Growlers are in a playoff spot. We might actually pull this off. It's Los Angeles next, and we lose, and that bumps us out of that spot. A 3-team tie at 82 points, a multi-divisional tie. Calgary, we lose, but we do pick up a pity point. That's a crucial point. God, we play Boston coming up. Is that our last game of the season? It's not. It's the penultimate game of the season. So here we go. Philadelphia, big game here. We lose. Vegas is next. Not a good team. We lose again. Is that it? The Growlers on 83 points. It takes 85 to be in the playoffs. We have to beat the Bruins. We have to win our last 2 games. So treat this as a playoff game. That surge may have been too little too late. If we do not beat the Bruins here, we're pretty much done for this season. First period, 1-0 Boston. Brunstrom on the power play. Second period, we get 2 goals. Huckins and Marcourt. 25 shots to 13. We have a chance as the Bruins tie it. The Bruins cannot get a point. Otherwise, we have to force the teams in the Metro out of it. Pasternak, the power play goal. Still a power play for the Bruins. Pasternak strikes again. And that is going to be the death knell for the Newfie Growlers in the 2029-2030 season. That is it. 5-2 final. The Bruins win it. And unfortunately, it is confirmed there will not be back-to-back playoff appearances here for the Growlers. At least not yet. Close, but not close enough. 83 points. It took 88 to make it. The Bruins didn't even make it, nor did the Sabres. So, disappointing. Disappointing. Perhaps justified. Our roster's not quite there yet, but thought maybe the star power could get us to where we were going to go. All in all, we finish 24th in the league. Taking a look at the goals for bottom 10 offense, but I mean, we averaged 0.23 more goals per game, or goals per 4 game. Man, I can't speak today. Above Detroit. Goals against, again, bottom 10, but not the worst in the league. Perhaps overperforming at this time, or this season, at times for this team, as it was LaRue leading the way over a point per game. Guy Boucher hit 32 goals, for God's sakes. Jayden Hines, 24. Jacques Lapierre with 28. Huckins put up 46 points. DeMay, and then, you see there at the bottom, Marcourt, just not cutting it. 19 goals is pretty good, but that overall point total is pretty brutal. I mean, DeMay, Duchesne, those guys had power play time. Marcourt didn't. That could be a factor, but ultimately, just not enough. And then, of course, defensively, we know Hugo crushed it. Some decent point totals from there, from the other defensemen. Bates, bringing up the rear with 12. And Cousineau. All in all, Cousineau just didn't really have it this season, whereas Ruskia was great. He had a 9-10. Maybe eyes on Cousineau here at this point. People already calling Nicky Rue the old Channel Hall of Famer. 26 years old, 71 overall, but putting up that save percentage. Maybe, just maybe, we have to call upon him at some point. Connor McDavid led the way. Lafreniere was tied for 3rd in scoring. It was Dennis Rolison there in Pittsburgh. 64 goals, 63 for Johan Almqvist. Defensively, Ryan Merkley leading the way. Hugo top 3 in scoring amongst defensemen. I think he was the goal-scoring king. He was not. Dahlin, 23. They were the only 2, though, to hit the 20-goal mark. For goaltending, the winningest was Vyasunov. Save percentages were down. It's going to be Eric Del Zotto in Philly. Go figure it. Del Zotto is the one to kind of lead the way. For the hell of it, were there any goalie goals? No, there weren't. And for the rookie race, it is going to be Matty Altonen, the 24-year-old, unless they give it to Donald Healy, which they probably should based off of the plus-minus. That's what I would suspect. Of course, rookie goalies, Vyasunov was up there for Arizona. So all in all, what looks to be, a decent season for us. We took a step back, but not a major step back. It's not like we went right back to being bottom feeders in the league. We were competitive. And it looks like the AHL team made the playoffs. Did they? Yeah, the AHL team made the playoffs for the very first time. They lost in the first round, but that's huge news. So if we get some decent player development out of these guys once the season ends, combined with the AHL team making the playoffs for the first time. Again, we didn't go from being from making the playoffs and being decent to just being horrible. We were still in the mix. This could still go down as a serviceable season worth looking back at as the New York Rangers win the Stanley Cup. That is yet another cup to an Eastern Conference team. Connor McDavid winning the Art Ross, as well as the Hart. Ryan Merkley wins his third Norris in 5 years. Calder goes to Healy. Chesterkin wins the Conn Smythe. Dollywall winning the Vezina in San Jose. Marlowe there. Ninima. McDavid wins the Ted Lindsay, and the Rocket Richard went to Rolison. Did we have an award winner in the AHL after a season like that? We did not. But still, decent. Let's take a look at the setup here. Progress reports. It's the big one. Hugo Laflamme. Another great season. Up to a 91. Fantastic stuff there. Corazzini jumps from a 74 to an 80. Talk about who might find himself on the top line next season. Cousineau makes his way up to an 80. Again, we have some development here otherwise, but of course it's more statistical growth. I really only care about natural growth. It's more sustainable. Belmar up to a 78, becoming a decent third pairing option. Sauve seems to have capped out, unfortunately. Bates is up to a 77. That's promising as well. Marcourt, statistical growth, but yeah, it's clear. He's not a top 6 guy for us long term. Robida, still pushing to be a bottom 6 option next year. And Sylvain Guite may just be the backup next year. We can make that choice, run McGeet in the AHL until he's ready to go. That'll be a big decision now heading into next season. Who is our goaltender? In the AHL, we had a decent bit of improvement there for Lalonde. You had Pierre Leroy now up to a 72. Kearns with a decent bit of improvement. Something like the shop, we didn't really see it. Levino, low 7th, doesn't really matter. Duran Delorier, decent improvement there as well for Brochenski. Pete Para is all right. Good improvement for Rayom. I think he went up by 12. That's a fantastic bit of improvement. Probably would have been a decent little draft pick there if he was still in the draft this past season. Or up to a 61. Yeah, I can't call that season a complete waste. I think it went pretty well for us. Now the question, of course, it's going to be the draft here, as we will have the 9th pick overall. The big question here, who is going to be available to us? Can we, really kind of salvage this? And not more of a high note, because for some people, while we missed the playoffs, some players we wanted to see develop didn't develop, even though others did. Is this the time to really make this, like I said, that episode worth remembering? Zibanejad and Morgan Riley become coaches. We're going to see how this goes. Last year we thought the draft might be horrible. It was okay. We'll see what happens this time out. And actually here we'll take a look at the draft class and see what we have to deal with. So again, Rome is not available to us. Cogliano did move up in the rankings, which is nice. He is the obvious pick here. Second round, we also have Jayden Hines, or Hines, I guess it would be, my bad. Also from the St. John Sea Dogs. LaBarbera out of Gatineau. Another Sea Dog in Daniel DeVos, who's okay. Ramuski and Garin, how I wish he was available. Moncton option and Stefan Denis. A Cape Breton option. Okay, so we have options here in the middle stages. Interesting. Let's sim to that 9th overall pick. Big win there for Philadelphia over their competition. 84 overall, Funk at the top of the draft. So clearly, our first round pick is going to be Cyrus Cogliano, and we're going to hope that he's going to be a playmaker first and foremost. We're going to hope that he's actually a medium top 6. He should be. Fingers crossed. Cyrus is going to be the 9th overall pick. He is a medium top 9. Ouch. And that could be a pick that comes back to haunt us if we can't get a hold of somebody here in the second round. It was a safe bet that he'd be a medium 6, but he wasn't. And yeah, that's going to come back to haunt us here. We're going to be able to hopefully get, hopefully Denis or T-Ball, and then hopefully DeVos and Hines. Taking a look at Hines here. I mean, a confirmed medium 6. The attributes aren't the best. Old Double D here is okay, but I have to take the guy with the higher potential. And then there's Denis in goal, who's probably a low-end medium elite. Okay. Well, it's very obvious here. The top pick is going to be Jayden Hines, the 18-year-old from the Sea Dogs. Guaranteed medium top 6, only a 60 overall, but not too shabby, all things considered. Our next pick is 73rd overall, which means I think the majority of who we're looking at probably gone. T-Ball's gone, low 4. Good old T-Ball. It's Jocelyn T-Ball's kid. Low 4 to 63. Meh. Big question. Yeah, Denis is a medium elite, but he's only a 47. That really wouldn't have helped us. That Guerin guy ends up going to Boston. How fitting. And DeVos was a 64. So we made the right pick there, but had we not swung and missed in the first round, we could have gotten a medium elite goalie to add to the mix. So we see Chicoutimi, Quebec, another Sea Dog, and De Silva. We got Lefebvre, not available to us. Not available. Halifax, first option there from the Mooseheads. You got Picard from Cape Breton, as well as DuPont. Sherbrooke not available. Victoria not available. Our first Islander in Marcel Lavasseur. Got no Halifax again. Okay. So then looking here. I mean, I don't know how good the Silva's going to be. More of a physical defenseman. Big boy defenseman indeed. I mean, I'm hoping for a medium 6. He might end up being a medium 7th. But we got to go for it. Jacob De Silva is the pick. He is a medium top 6 at a 59 overall. So maybe, just maybe, might develop into a decent third pairing option. I don't hate that pick. And then out of this group, I mean, take Vermette and get one of the other two is the play. I just don't know how good Raphael Vermette's going to be. I really don't. Picard's okay. DuPont's okay. Let's take a look here, though, at who else might be drafted. I actually want to take a look at potentials here. And unfortunately for me, it's looking like we might as well just follow along with the potentials. Raphael Vermette of the Halifax Mooseheads is the next pick. He is a low top 9. Yuck. Next up, we have DuPont, still available to us. The other guy was probably recently selected. It was Picard, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, it was him. Lefebvre was a decent little goalie there. Yeah, I think we're good. So we can add a goalie into the mix in DuPont. Not that we need another goalie. Or we could go with Lavasseur, who is terrible. Take the goalie. Yves DuPont, the 19-year-old out of Cape Breton, is the pick. He is a medium backup. This draft is going as poorly as we thought that it might, unfortunately. Yeah, this has been rough. Clearly here, Ethan Norton is the selection. We'll go for it. How good are you? Low 9. So all in all, this episode is going to be remembered just for prospect development more than anything. You know, last year wasn't exactly a fluke, which is nice. But yeah, case in point, we just didn't end up with anybody that we would have wanted here. And in the queue, how many younger players do we have here that we could just take a risk with and hope that they're actually half decent and would be better heading into next year's draft? A few young Sea Dogs are available here. So we have 3 forwards. Braylon McCarty, 2 points in 34 games. Alex Talbot, 6 goals, 15 assists. And Antoine Deschamps. We know nothing about Antoine. Talbot, we just know can't skate all that well, but the boy's got confidence. Okay, so I mean, we're going to go for one of those two, or We go for a big boy in Papineau, who is not available. None of the real big boys appear to be available for us, unfortunately. What about a small boy? FBI, open up! There's nobody available here. Let's go for Talbot. He has confidence, you see. He has confidence. He shouldn't. He shouldn't. A brutal draft for us. Our the first real bad draft in a while. Hines is one of the few, redeemable players out of that mix. But all in all, I still don't hate where we are. Again, we do have some decisions to make here. Goaltending. Will it be Cousineau and Keat, or does one Nicky Roux still get an opportunity heading into this next season at the NHL level? We're obviously going to keep him. Defensively, I mean, maybe we just shove Leroy to the NHL, Deschamps as well, and just see what the hell happens. We're desperate for good defense now, aside from Hugo. Forward-wise, obviously, we still need some help. The development of Corazzini helped quite a bit, though. So we still have a long way to go. But right now, things are at least okay. Last year wasn't a fluke. We nearly made the playoffs again. But a little bit of extra off-season development could go a really, really long way at this stage.